All right, Gravel Thrower Reviews here. Today I am reviewing an EP entitled Herbsthunde from German industrial sludge trio Lifetaker. Herbsthunde translates to autumn thunder, which I think is a pretty cool concept for a record. The band Lifetaker has undergone a few lineup changes and changes in their sounds since their inception in 2018, going from a more animalistic grind death project into a more well-defined gothic sounding industrial project, which I absolutely love. Let's dive into the nuances of this EP right now. All right, the first track is called Tot Signal. This track starts with some dirty, distorted synth washes that are accompanied by some smashing industrial drum work. There is a very eerie, lower register synth in the mix that raises the hair on the back of your neck and creates tension. Then a massive, slow, sludgy wall of sound smashes into the mix alongside some more demented vocal passages that feel deeply pained and very manic. The atmosphere on this track is so foggy and haunting. I absolutely love it. There is some backup vocal ad-lib layering that is absolutely amazing. You don't hear this vocal approach very much in extreme genres, so it's nice to see that it's done well here. The end of this track breaks down into a spoken word chant accompanied by some very distant hand drums that feel staticky and atmospheric. I love the transition between the tracks here. It feels very seamless and smooth. The second track on the record is called Schattenkabinet. This is an absolute banger. I love this track. The chord progression is slightly uplifting, but with a sinister feel that, of course, matches the feeling of the vocals. The pace of this track is a mid-paced stomp that could be right at home on like a dark wave breakdown. I love the reverb impact snares that blast away in the background. And again, we have another amazing and compelling vocal performance that is layered by brilliant ad-libs that vary in intensity. If there was such a thing as a pop song on this album, this would be it. This track is danceable, dynamic, and extremely catchy in a way that is almost accessible. Almost. I really, really like this song. This is my fucking jam. This is a banger. All right, moving on to the third track, which is entitled Alpha Centauro. It starts with a nasty breakbeat that has a little metallic perk sound that gives a nod to the intended industrial direction. There is a buzzing synth that vibrates in the background before the track explodes into like this mid-paced distorted riff, accompanied by some manic vocals that sound like the screams of a madman in solitary confinement. I love the vocals on this track. They remind me of the vocalist from Herbsthunde, but with an even more unhinged sound. There is filtered out squeaky horn sound that comes in after the verse section that sounds like a rusty old door moving around in the wind. It's very unexpected and interesting. Then the track breaks down into some guttural vocals that fall into a call and response format. There are little moments of noisy sound, which I think are pick slides that are manipulated in post-production. I like the goth rock inspired vocals in a deeper register that hover around in the background. The vocals are very dynamic and are honestly my favorite element of this project. The German language is already a bit of a harsher sounding dialect, so it works perfectly with metal or heavier, darker music genres, in my opinion. The fourth track on this EP is Machine Strum, and it starts with some distant kicks and a very industrial sounding drum rhythm. The guitars seem to be mixed a little more upfront than the previous tracks, which I like. There is a vocal refrain that repeats over and over in this track that makes the song instantly recognizable. I love the bending guitars and the tremolos that feel eerie and sinister. The sludge elements of this song are really cool. They lumber along with a slow but very strong presence that is very gratifying and doomy. On the back end, we are hit again with a glitchy sample that leads into the final track. The last song on this EP is Herbsthunde, Der Carpeten, and this song is just a noisy drone track with some very distant drums and some darker whispers that seem to loom over your head. There are a variety of sounds and textures on this track that give the feeling of being lost in a gloomy fog while feeling disoriented. It has a very strong dreamlike quality, which I enjoy. In my opinion, this song would have been better as an intermission in the middle of the track list as opposed to an outro, but regardless, it's a very interesting industrial drone piece with some killer production. In conclusion, I really like this EP a lot. I do wish the guitars were more present with some more interesting leads, but I think the other dynamics make up for this. There are tons of great textures and moods throughout. Every song is a very solid track and has its own life force. The vocals are simply incredible. Some of the best I've heard in a while. The vocal layering is pure genius and definitely worth your time. All things considered, I would like to officially give this EP an 8.8 out of 10. It is an absolute banging EP. Very good EP, and everyone should go check it out and show Lifetaker some love. Make sure to follow Lifetaker on Instagram and check them out on Bandcamp. Massive respect to the band, and thank you to Constantine for providing some pictures and some insights on the project. Later on in the week, I'm going to be reviewing the wonderful new album from Maud the Moth, who is an incredible singer-songwriter based out of Ireland. Tune in for that. Please drop a like or comment if you can. Helps out quite a bit. Massive shout out to Lifetaker from Germany. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. This is Gravel Throat Reviews. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.